There will be a game tomorrow. Texans. There will be a game in Houston. Preseason. Landry Locker, Cody Stutes with you. It is SNL. This is going to be a banger. And if you're wondering about the Texans roster, you're wondering to the path for each player, you've come to the right place. Landry Locker, Cody Stutes with you. We got you covered here. We're going to talk about all of that and more here on SNL. But first, Cody has to lay out, and this is the step one of this. Cody's 100% locks to make the roster. Now, how bold will he be? Because if one of the guys on this list, just one of the guys on this list, does not make the roster, Cody has to chug 7 ounces of apple cider vinegar. So before we see the list, I'm going to ask you, how many guys did you put on this list?
46.
46.
Yeah, but I want to give the people their blood no matter what, though, because they want to see me drink the apple cider vinegar. So I have a counter offer that basically guarantees I would drink some apple cider vinegar.
Okay, what's the counter offer?
I predict the 53 plus where guys start the season if they're hurt right now, either on the roster, pup, whatever. And for every one that I'm wrong, we add an ounce to the equation.
Okay. I like this. I'm
happy to do it your way. I get my 46. I don't drink. But if I have to go through the entire 53 plus, call my shot on, say, like a Trent Brown starting on pup, I'm guaranteed to miss some of them, right? But if the advantage for me would be, hey, maybe I only get 3 or 4 wrong. Hey, it's 3 or 4 ounces versus 7 ounces. So it's up to you. I got the 46 ready.
I like your idea first. Before we get to that, though, let's go to the soup real quick. Shout out to the soup here on SNL.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
What would success look like for Chubb tomorrow? Logan Taylor asks. If we're going to say what success looks like, are we acknowledging that failure is possible? Because that's the problem I'm having with this Nick Chubb discussion is I'm telling you that he doesn't look like he's in prime. By the way, Albert Breer had awesome observations. Like, he did a good job with his 5 observations, but then he said Nick Chubb looks like his young self. D'Amico even said that wasn't the case. Like, I don't know where he's getting that or why he said that, but buried in all his 5 astute observations, which I thought were solid, and he does talk to more people than anyone I've seen that just walks in. Like, coaches walk to the side and talk to him. That was a crazy statement. But if we're going to say what success looks like, are we acknowledging that failure is possible? Do I need to call Mark Vandermeer?
I mean, if he looked slow and couldn't hit holes that were very clearly there tomorrow, that would be really bad for Nick Chubb. I mean, that would what does success look like? I mean, hit the hole that's there and gain 5-6 yards of carry and be out there for one drive, and that's it.
Yeah, 4 yards of carry, whatever. Just look okay, I guess. What would look really bad is if his habits continue and he gets thrown to the ground and he just gets up and runs 50 yards to the end zone and gets to delay a game.
in a game, that'd be bad.
He's just so used to running after the play's over that he gets a delay a game. That would be bad. JB Allen, the Annihilator. Shout out to you, mi amigo.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
What's up, everyone? Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Weapons, Cody, as I've been obsessing over the movie all week. What is Weapons?
Weapons is a new horror movie that came out last week.
Okay. Is it by Key and Peele or something?
No.
I thought they were the only ones who did horror movies now.
They have a football horror movie coming out. One of Peele does.
Mark Cruz says, do you think starters play tomorrow?
Yes.
Seems like it. Yes, it does seem like it.
CJ said he wanted to play in a preseason game. That was before the first one. Will Anderson said this week he wants to play in the preseason game. I don't believe they're going to play a lot, but I do believe they're going to play, especially it's the only home preseason game. So give you a chance to, be comfortable while you're out there. It's not like you had to go in through some sort of road preparation for a preseason game.
Shout out to HDAV Traveler. How you living, my friend?
Good to see you.
So let's get into the exercise.
Okay. So I'll show you what I had for the 46 or so names that I had, and then I can just add to this list as we go here. So this is what I had for the locks. This is over on offense. Obviously, Davis Mills, CJ Stroud. That was easy. Woody Marks.
I don't know that Jakob's a 100%er. That's kind of.
Well, let me just go through the positions here. Woody Marks, Daria Gumbawale, Joe Mixon's making the roster. We can fine tune, if there's some sort of pup or something like that here in a second. Jakob's making the roster. I feel strongly about this.
Okay.
I feel strongly about this. The way that they've talked about fullbacks, the way that the league has approached fullbacks this year compared to previous years, I feel strongly about Jakob making the team.
Okay.
Berrios, Collins, Higgins, Hutchinson, Kirk, Knoll. I feel like the only one that's even questionable for some people there is Berrios. Now, I need to add probably one more body to this before it's all said and done. Schultz and Stover, we know they're on the team. The two centers, Andrews and Patterson. Tomlinson, Ursery, Fisher, Howard, Robinson. Ingram's right on the edge for me.
Whew, yeah, you're being bold with this. You got a few bold decisions.
Ingram's right on the edge for me, but I don't feel like I went too far out there. I mean, they've been putting him out there to protect CJ Stroud. So he's closer to making it than not making it, but a couple of things tumble the wrong way, and all of a sudden Ed Ingram's out of a job. I could certainly see that. Over on defense/special teams, obviously we know the three specialists. I put Jalen Reed on, even though I feel like there's probably an injury designation that's maybe coming with that. So Petrie, CJ Gardner-Johnson, obviously there's a chance for an injury designation. Bullock, MJ Stewart. When I did this roster, I had Bryant as a corner, but you could count him as a safety if you wanted.
Okay, so you put Bryant at, man, I'm telling you. I think this list is fine. I don't even think you have to do extra.
Bryant's on.
Between Bryant, Johnson, you could be chugging.
Kamari Lassiter, obviously, Jalen Smith, Tremont Smith, Derek Stingley. Linebackers, Aziz, Harris, Speed, To'o. I went pretty safe on the linebackers. Defensive tackles, I had three locks. Mario Edwards, Sheldon Rankins, Tommy Togiai.
Okay.
I have a weird suspicion about Tim Settle. Despite his performance.
What do you mean?
Just the DeMeco Ryans has been asked about him. Every time he gets asked about it, he says he's got to be more consistent. Matt Burke gets asked about him. Yeah, he's got to be more consistent. He had asked about like a specific quote from Settle, and he's like, yeah, I'll just leave that out. And then you hear like Foley Fatukasi was an impact player last year. Like, I mean, was he? Like, he was solid, but like impact player. I don't know about all that. And I just don't know that Settle, especially with how much they praise Tommy Togiai, having Foley Fatukasi and the roster crunch as is, I can't guarantee you Tim Settle's on this team.
Okay. I think I can guarantee that.
You want to put an ounce of apple cider vinegar on it?
Yeah, I'll put an ounce of apple cider vinegar on that.
Okay. And the defensive end, Will Anderson, Dylan Horton, Daniil Hunter, Darrell Taylor, excuse me. I couldn't for sure tell you that these other guys are going to, do it. So you think I got some landmines in here?
Yeah. I would say that Miles Bryant, I don't know that it's a 100% certainty on that. I mean, I think it's bold enough. Berrios, you were a little, and then Johnson, I think it could go either way, just depending on how they want to play the gymnastics.
I just don't know how, with the tight end situation, obviously Brevin's hurt. I just don't know how you could not have Jakob Johnson as a part of the team when he helps out at tight end. He does stuff and has done stuff at the fullback position that you may need out of the rushing attack. And I know you could, in a pinch, put Cade Stover back there and maybe get something out of it. But like, Jakob Johnson's been a fullback. Like, he's played the position. Like, Cade Stover is a new to offense in the past 4 years guy. And now you're going to ask him to be tight end and maybe fullback stuff. Like, I just feel like that's a little much. So just for the usefulness of Jakob, I have him on the roster.
To be clear, if you had a gun to your head, you would say Settle makes it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's more likely that he makes it than not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you asked me for my locks. I can't lock Tim Settle in.
There is something kind of interesting about like even his press conference the other day. He doesn't seem as confident. I talked to him one-on-one. He was fine, but it just does. I mean, he's talking like saying he needs to be a better adult and like I'm still learning to be a professional. And it's like, brother, you've been in the league for over half a decade. Like some of the stuff that he is saying is weird, but I think they just really they want him to control what he can control, and they want more from Tim in that manner. So I think they're just really kind of coaching him hard, but I don't think we get to a point where he's not on the roster.
Okay. I mean, I couldn't lock him in. I couldn't put him as a lock.
320 on the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Because I'm super worried about our RB room. There are no Texans RBs on Prize Picks. If they aren't getting any line on Mixon, that tells me all I need to know.
How could anybody make a line on Joe Mixon right now? You don't even know when he's going to play football.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that he's like outside of the top 20 on ESPN. Like it almost makes me feel like ESPN knows something. Like they know a little bit more, because if you thought he was even going to be back anytime early in the season, like not even being a top 20 back in fantasy is crazy. It's kind of wild, isn't it?
I would think that they're building in the fact that he may miss time at the beginning.
Exactly. And that's
I still very much believe, with the as secretive as they've been about it, I still very much believe that Mixon's going to miss like the first couple of weeks. Like not enough to be put on short-term IR, but he's going to miss too much to where they can't play him week 1 or week 2.
They're definitely acting weird about it. We're definitely not seeing much of him. So there you go. There's the 46 to make the roster. Now we're going to lay out the path for these guys that were not on that list and their path to making the roster. And we'll start with the running back, Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce's path is, I think it's easier than, I don't think it's far-fetched. I do wonder if they got to see something from him, though, like something, like some sort of live action from Dameon Pierce.
I mean, he missed half of training camp working back from whatever his injury was, and he hasn't had like a full real practice yet. I know he was in some of the team stuff the other day, but he didn't go through all the drills that day. So he hasn't had a full 100% practice yet. They didn't play him in the joint practice. I'd be shocked if he plays in the preseason game. And so that leaves Detroit and the joint practice, maybe the preseason game, as opportunities to get real live action. I mean, I know they liked him a year ago, and I know DeMeco Ryans was pretty fond of saying, yeah, we're going to have a 1-2 punch with Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce. That never developed. That never materialized. And just think about how they treated Noah Brown from a reliability standpoint last year. Like Dameon Pierce has been less reliable than Noah Brown.
It's a good example. I mean, I think that kind of like, I know Tim Settle wasn't injured last year, but I mean, for the way they used to talk about Noah Brown and how he was there for them in big moments. And I know that there's different reasoning because he has trouble staying healthy, but I mean, they were willing to cut him last year, and that kind of like expands your mind as we do this exercise when you think about it. The problem I have with the Dameon Pierce thing is I just don't think running back is a strong suit. I don't know what Joe Mixon's going to do, and even with all the what ifs about Dameon Pierce, I feel better about him than Nick Chubb at this point, and that's the reality of the situation. And I felt like they needed to kind of squeeze Dameon Pierce out before, but right now Nick Chubb's RB1, and I'm just not overly impressed with what we see from Nick Chubb. So I think the path for Pierce is he's got to show them a little bit of something, and then I think he could be one of the 5 running backs they keep, but it might not be as easy as we think. I think he's got to show them something. He's at least got to participate in full practices. I'll say a week of full practices and looking comparable to Nick Chubb is the path for Dameon Pierce.
Do you believe if Dameon Pierce had been available from day one of training camp that we'd have any thought that he wouldn't make the team?
Is he not running by Nick Chubb? No, I've never seen Dameon Pierce look as bad as Nick Chubb does in practice.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's like that's to me like Dameon Pierce would clearly, in my opinion, be ahead of Nick Chubb had he been available from the first day of training camp. He's behind because of when he was able to get on the field, not because he can't do the job. He could absolutely do the job that Nick Chubb's done up to this
Plus,
point.
it's also been a pattern with D'Amico. And like that's the thing. Like it's a pat like with D'Amico, Dameon Pierce, like even last year when he had the kick return, then all of a sudden he misses like a month or however long it ended up being. So he hasn't been reliable for D'Amico. So
yeah,
that's kind of an uphill battle. But I think a solid practice would be like a solid week of practice is what Dameon Pierce needs. And then I think,
I mean, he could very easily be a reliability cut for this team.
But as much as you said, the Noah Brown thing, I think the Noah Brown is the best point that you've made. Speaking of Nick Chubb, the path for Nick Chubb, it seems like they just like him no matter what. I think he just needs to maybe look serviceable in the preseason game and just continue doing whatever the hell they want and being the consummate professional that he is, which is Nick Chubb. I think that's the path. I don't know that there's anything crazy that Nick Chubb can do, but just the fact that he is Nick Chubb and the fact they have admiration for him, I think that's his path. Just be Nick Chubb and keep your fingers crossed.
If they knew they were getting Joe Mixon back, and then Chubb would also need Pierce to look bad, but I don't know that they know that when they're getting Joe Mixon back. So
yeah, and the Nick Chubb thing might have more, initially you're like, okay, is this a Dameon Pierce thing? But when you look at it, like if we see Joe Mixon miss a few weeks, we don't know, then we look back and say, okay, well, that had more to do with Joe Mixon than it did Dameon Pierce.
If we know Mixon's short-term IR and he's missing time, then Chubb's absolutely on this team. Not even a question about it. He's going to be on the team. If there's a chance Mixon's ready week 3 and you need to keep him on the roster, but he's taking up a roster spot, that might hurt Chubb or Pierce, either one of those guys, a little bit. So if for Chubb, it hasn't looked good enough to me, but that's the bed they've made themselves.
Next path is Sub, aka Super Utility Brooks, aka RB5. Someone said this yesterday: RB5, TE5, FB2, and special teams ace.
Yeah.
The path for British Brooks is just play really, 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 really good special teams. And that's something that he's done. I props to, I think it was his name, Nomad Scott. He mentioned that he was a special teams captain at UNC and had 17 tackles and all that, which we heard last year, but kind of out of sight, out of mind. But super special teams, just play special teams. And oh, by the way, he's going to get carries in the preseason. And we saw what he did last year when he got carries in the preseason. He does strike me as a guy who's going to play good special teams no matter what, and just rake up on whatever you get a chance to rake up on. We might see British Brooks getting 15, 20 carries in preseason game 3.
He's at the early stages of a Dare career where you just claw your way onto a roster with special teams and just hang on for dear life as much as you can. I fully believe
this is the other thing. My bad, Cody. The other thing is this. They've had a tough decision with British Brooks, and he made the team last year. So D'Amico Ryans, Frank Ross, like all the guys, they had tough decision to make with British Brooks, and he was kind of a surprise make the team guy last year with everything that they were doing with him.
It was a huge surprise to me he made the team last year, especially when they had him playing a position he never played before. At least now he's practicing a position that he's played before, and then he's very good at special teams. But he's got the early beginnings of a Dare career where you make the team because you're a special teams guy that the coach trusts a ton, and in an emergency, they can put you on offense.
Yep. So that's his path.
I fully believe, without a shadow of a doubt, he's in the organization one way or the other. 53
They
or
trust
practice
him.
squad.
If they could have an unlimited roster, this is the best way I can put this about British Brooks, because I don't think you can say this about all these guys that we would talk about. But if they could keep 70 guys, how many ever like a college football team keeps, he would be on a first team unit and maybe multiple first team units on this football team. British Brooks.
If they could keep 57 guys instead of 53, I would tell you he's on the roster.
Yeah, and he's first team special teams, like in multiple areas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hell of a thing to do. This isn't a guy who has to prove himself doing something uncomfortable. This is a guy that they would already trust to do this. So that's the advantage. It's special teams is the key for British Brooks. And the other part about it that doesn't get talked about, I know they don't line up in the same area, but Brevin Jordan was a big special teams player. Like I know we talk about the offense, but he was getting more. He was more of a part of special teams than previously talked about. So maybe they need a guy who can kind of specialize in that, and they don't try to kind of chase their tail and replace Brevin Jordan by keeping around an Irv Smith just to keep around an Irv Smith. You know,
and you can work around some of the tight end limitations with
practice
squad promotions and Jakob Johnson if you indeed keep him. So I'm rooting for British Brooks. It's a cool story. He's a good special teams player, and he's a piece of the fabric of what makes the back end of the roster fun. You know, like the guy that just was never the guy at UNC, undrafted free agent, clawed his way onto a team last year, leg blew up on him, fought all the way back, still great at special teams. Like it's a cool story.
He's a mean son of a gun on special teams. I knocked the shit out of that guy the other day.
Mm-hmm.
The path for John Mechie. This is an interesting one. This one's really simple. I think there's a couple of elements here that when it comes to John Mechie making the team, I think it's him versus Justin Watson. I think that's what it's come down to now. If they keep 7, it's him and Justin Watson. Here's the other thing is I wonder if the quarterback has any say in this, because I think the way that Xavier Hutchinson has played, I think he's done enough to where I don't even know if they bring in Justin Watson if they knew they were going to get this version of Xavier Hutchinson and the version of player that he has become and developed into. Like everything that D'Amico said about Justin Watson in the offseason, I almost wonder if he was like playing games with Xavier Hutchinson to light a fire under his ass. What if he was? What if there was like some Hard Knocks and it came out and D'Amico's like, you know what? I'm going to praise this random ass Watson guy and just see how Xavier reacts to it. What if D'Amico's like the puppet master of all puppet masters? Because it was weird the way he was talking about Justin Watson. I mean, it was a little over the top. Calling him the most consistent player in the league might have been a little much. But what if that was the goal, was we're going to get the most out of Xavier Hutchinson? But I do wonder if the quarterback has any say in this, because the Texans have stripped CJ Stroud's offensive line. They've gotten rid of guys that he's close to. I'm not sitting here saying that CJ Stroud's going to be like the guy that's in charge of personnel. I will say he seems to have better chemistry with John Mechie than he does Justin Watson. I think there's a chance, though, that Justin Watson would be active on game days. I don't know that John Mechie's always going to be active on game days. So that's the other thing you got to factor in is I don't know that Mechie would be active, but I do wonder if they ask CJ like what he would say on this.
Here's another element for John Mechie. How many special teams aces do they get to keep at other spots? Because if you have a British Brooks and a Nick Neiman and a Jake Hansen,
Tremont Smith,
and a Tremont Smith, and so on. Like, if you have enough special teams bodies and guys on the roster that can play some special teams, then Mechie's lack of special teams prowess doesn't hurt him as much in the conversation. Because if the only selling – I went through the exercise today. How many times can I remember wanting to talk about or noting a Justin Watson play? One time. He had a sliding catch when CJ Stroud threw a really nice pass to him. And that's it over the course of training camp. Mechie's had far more standout moments than him from a receiver standpoint. But I'm obviously understanding of the fact that Watson plays special teams at more and at a higher level than Mechie does. But if you have enough special teamers elsewhere, keep the better receiver.
Yeah, and John Mechie, obviously he's made it interesting for them. So I don't know what they decide here. I do think though, like with Hansen, like I think British Brooks kind of like, if British Brooks is like a mainly special teams guy, then I think that kind of could impact Hansen or something. Like that's the other element of it. And you have EJ Speed, and you have some other guys. So I think Hansen's actually kind of the guy that's really in trouble when we talk about the linebackers and the special teams aces.
Sure.
Someone asks, is the Mechie CJ chemistry going to translate to games? He's probably not going to be active, but we're just talking about keeping the best receiver. On the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
JB the Annihilator, do you believe the Texans defense can achieve a minimum of 3 shutout games this season? Do you recall the last Texans defensive shutout? I would say no. I don't think they could do that. The last shutout, I don't know.
Gosh. Yeah, I guess it's really hard to shut people out in the National Football League.
Yeah, I don't know when the last time they had a shutout was.
I can find it if you just give me a second here.
Yeah, Cody, you'll find that.
And they allowed 3 points to the Titans a couple of years ago. That's obviously not a shutout.
Uriel Garza. Yeah, 3's more than 0, Cody. Uriel Garza says, what about Berrios? Berrios is good right now, I think. Like as the in-game action has begun, he's thrived. He could be that 7th guy like Steven Sims. Now we kind of got him as the 6th based on the discussion we're having between Mechie and Justin Watson. So, yeah, I think Berrios is okay right now.
Well, it provides depth at slot wide receiver, too, in case Christian Kirk, who has an injury history, got hurt. You had to put Noel there, and Berrios gives you a little bit of usefulness as a depth piece at slot wide receiver as well.
All right, so the next path is the path for Justin Watson. A couple things have happened with Justin Watson. And there might be a case to be made that Justin Watson really hasn't done anything to hurt his cause. It's just the stuff around him. The other guys have just completely elevated their play. Xavier Hutchinson's one of them. They've drafted 2 guys. Braxton Berrios has played good. John Mechie has played good. Like it's just as simple as all of the other receivers have performed at a higher level. I think Justin Watson probably needs to make some plays in a game. I think it's basically a Mechie Watson off. I mean, we saw last year, and maybe Mechie was safe no matter what, but we did see Mechie have some really good preseason performances, and that's probably what allowed him to make the team last year. I think this year it's going to be Mechie versus Watson, and you're just basically watching those guys to see who makes the more plays. Or they factor in special teams, and they kind of give him the nod over Mechie. That's the other path.
That's to me the path is they just value those special teams reps a little bit more than they value what Mechie can do as a receiver. And if Watson is exactly what they thought he was going to be as a 5th, 6th wide receiver, then like you said, he may not have overachieved to the point where we noticed him, but if he's exactly what they thought he was going to be and the special teams usefulness, that may be enough for him. By the way, 2 shutouts in the history of the franchise of the Texans, 2010 and 2004.
Okay, so it's rare. So if there is 3, that would be more than they've had in franchise history.
If there's 1, it's impressive. If there's 2, it's really impressive.
Yeah, so there's only been a couple of those. Let's get to the tight ends. Irv Smith Jr. I would say they just try to find the closest thing to Brevin Jordan they can, and they go with the best tight end. Like they think, like they decide the path for him is they decide they're going to keep 3 tight ends. They're not going to count Jakob Johnson, as a tight end.
Jacob Jacobson, whatever.
Jakob Johnson. But they decide they're not going to count him as a tight end, and they decide that they're going to keep 3, and Irv Smith is better than, to them, in their opinion, Luke Lachey and whoever the hell else he's competing with.
Here's the path for Irv Smith. They just are beholden to a veteran big body. That's the path. Is well, he's played a lot of football and he's a bigger guy. Okay.
Path for Luke Lachey, who is getting some first team reps the last couple days.
It's almost too little too late, you would think, but
he's got 2 weeks. He's got to joint practice. I think he's got to just kick some ass. Like he's got to have a badass joint practice against the Lions. He's got to look good in the games. The next 2 weeks is just basically you could easily, if you crank it up a notch, you could easily try if you do play well, play your way onto it. But he's just got to have a badass next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the thing is he hadn't shown. It's not like he's got like a lot of like stuff built up to this point where you're like, hey, look what he did. Like, not really a lot of that. So go kick ass for a couple weeks and make this roster. And I wonder if that's maybe even a conversation point from some of the offensive staff where they sit the kid down and say, you got to be awesome these next 2 weeks and you can make the roster. Like there's a path for you. Like go get it. Go grab that roster spot.
The path for Juice Scruggs.
I could see him just ninth lineman because he can back up multiple spots. But I could also see him making it instead of Ed Ingram because he can back up multiple spots.
Yeah, I think Juice Scruggs just has to keep doing what he's doing. I think he's in. Would I put him as my
You locking him?
You
You locking him?
Hell no. Absolutely.
Is he getting a lock?
Not after the way I talked about him in the offseason. Hey, when the pads came on, Juice Scruggs played better. Like that's a fact. Like he went from no reps to second team reps. Not saying it's great, but it's better. But I think he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. What is the cliche? Start good days. He's done that, and stack better days with this Texans offensive line. I don't know if they really necessarily have to be good. Just stack okay days.
Juice's candidacy also gets really interesting based on how that Titus Howard situation plays out, because if you count Howard as a guard, then it becomes Juice versus a backup tackle. If you count Howard as a tackle, then I feel like Juice is on. He's on the roster.
Well, he's your third string center. He's your backup.
Right.
Backup left guard, backup left guard, and he would be your.
No, he's the first guy behind Tomlinson, so he's the backup left guard.
Okay, my bad. Right guard. Excuse me. Backup right guard, and then he would be your backup left guard. That's what I meant. And your third string center.
So third string center, third string right guard, and second string left guard. And he's just. I mean, I know this isn't the biggest thing. He's a former second round pick by the sitting general manager.
Well, the other thing is if you're gonna stink, we always kind of rolled our eyes at versatility with the O'Brien thing because it was like, well, they suck at everything. But if you're gonna stink, it's better to have someone that's gonna stink and be your backup left guard, third string right guard, and third string center than just your right tackle and on goal line like Blake Fisher, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
Fair.
And again, if it's him versus Zach Thomas, okay, Juice was a second round pick. Does the GM really want to cut his second round pick?
Yeah, well, speaking of Zach Thomas, he has to have a better game. Like if he has a game like he did last time, he is done. He might not make it to practice Monday if he plays like that. Like they might be going to the clubs at 2 a.m. trying to find bouncers to replace his ass. He has to play better than what he played in a game the other day. And I got a feeling he's going to get like extended opportunity. Like I see him playing like 2 quarters plus, maybe even more, to where, he goes in at halftime and then they kind of let him re-get. Sometimes they like to see players like play in the second quarter and then come back in the third, like guys that are trying to make the team. They did it with Taylor the other day, I think. Am I wrong about that? I felt like Taylor was playing pretty late.
JJ Taylor?
Daryl Taylor or Daryl Taylor got hurt and then they brought him back out there. I I think Zach Thomas just has to. You cannot look like you did in game action last time, or you're toast. You're done. Like it's finished.
There's one tackle spot.
They're playing Deculus more too now.
There's one tackle spot available, and you've got to be able to showcase that you can play left tackle because they have a backup right tackle that's making the roster in Blake Fisher.
You know how I have like the Pierce theory where I've never been like overly high on Pierce, but as soon as I watched Nick Chubb, I kind of became more like open to Dameon Pierce. I feel like Blake Fisher has like Zach Thomas is like the best thing to happen to Blake Fisher because I think heading into that game, they were honestly, and we had this discussion like in the fluid process that was camp. I honestly don't know based on just practice who they would have felt more comfortable playing in a game. And it would still, I think it's still a shit show with either one of them. But the way that Zach Thomas looked, all of a sudden we look up and, oh, Blake Fisher's getting some 1 reps and Blake Fisher's getting, and I know they've been resting Titus, but it's almost like, well, we got to see what's going on here. Cause this Zach Thomas guy, he's never played a game. He's been in the league 4 years. He's never like started a game or anything. So it's like, well, maybe he could figure something out, but he cannot look like that. He cannot. I felt sorry for him, honestly. That was rough.
Yeah, it's not good. And I would tell you if Trent Brown was healthy, we wouldn't even be having a Zach Thomas.
No, yeah, that's a fact. On the super, Wag says, who can stay on the practice squad? We're talking about that throughout. There's a lot of guys for sure. Logan says, what is the date for roster cutdowns? It's going to be Tuesday the 26th. It's gonna be a fun show. We will be reacting to that. So that'll be the 26th, 11 days. Mark your calendars. Solomon Bird, man. The Birdman started out so good. He started out so well.
What happened to that boy?
Kind of died down.
The clip says it all. What happened to that boy?
What happened to that boy?
Yeah,
he stopped getting pressure.
Yeah, it just stopped. Dylan Horton, they obviously trust him a little bit more. Practice squad.
Dylan Horton's a more physically impressive specimen than Solomon Bird too. Like Solomon Bird's not anywhere near as rangy or athletic, it feels like, as Dylan Horton is.
Yeah, he's died down. He's going to play a lot, but it's a hard roster to make. Like the reality is it's a really hard roster to make, man.
David Culley's not walking around where it's an easy one to find a job. Like this is
Derek Barnett's putting a uniform on now, so you don't have him on the sidelines. So it's a really hard roster to make. So it's tough for the Birdman.
What happened to that boy?
The path for him is really, I mean,
he would need some bad luck for other players.
Yes, that's all. I mean, that's the best way to say it. It would be bad luck. I think Tim settles in. I do think you're right that
I just don't like the way they talk about him.
And he's lost his swag, but he's fine. Tim settles fine. Just keep doing your thing.
You said a moment ago when you're talking about him, he said, yeah, he's like, he needs to learn how to be a professional. And
that's what he said. I talked to him. It's a one-on-one on the channel.
No. But, and then I think about how they used to talk about Foley Fatukasi, about how he's like Mr. Professional. And then D'Amico multiple times has said Tim Settle's got to be more consistent. And then he says Tommy Togiai is the most consistent player in the building. And it's just like,
say that. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
okay. But everything they say does not match how they operate with Tim Settle, because Settle has been the first team defensive tackle for almost all of camp.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think they're just really, really, really pushing Tim Settle to take the next step and
like unlock that next level of what he can be.
Be more professional. That's what he said. That's his own words. Path for Foley Fatukasi.
I mean, he's got to be on, I would think, based on the way they talk about him and the fact that they did bring him back. But he's going to have to be on the field at some point, right? And he's also going to have – I mean, if he got hurt before the start of the season, he'd get Noah Brown.
I think he's I could see Fatukasi making the team and then being a pup cut.
What do you mean?
Like if Danico Autry starts the season, then they have to get rid of someone. I can see him being the pup cut.
Foley's the 53rd guy, and as soon as they need that roster spot, Foley's out.
Could see it. I mean,
I could see that certainly.
I don't know whether he's going to stay healthy or not, but I think right now Fatukasi is relatively safe. Getting on the field and practicing might help him. That would probably be step one, and then I think it'd be all right.
He for whatever it is in the walkthrough, he repped ahead of Tommy Togiai the other day.
On Z Soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
I started twitching when Cody said David Culley. Yeah,
If I'm not feeling it, we're not doing it.
by the way, I think we have 2 tickets to give away to the game tomorrow. Is that
Hey,
is
how
that
about
a thing?
that?
Is that a thing?
Well, I think they were sending them to you. Did you get them?
Have I gotten them yet? That's the question.
Yeah.
I have not.
That's the big
So
question. Okay, so
yeah, when we get them, just be on
Be
the
on the-
lookout here. We'll get them away. We'll get them away tonight. Texans Cap said he was going to send it to me.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, just get mad at Texans Cap and tell him to go F himself on Twitter at Texans Cap.
don't do
Yeah,
that.
tell him to go F himself if
Don't
we
do
don't
that.
get these tickets away by
Don't do that.
the locker room stream tonight at 10:30. Bop, the path for Jake Hansen.
One small thing I want to say, because we just went through the defensive tackles. Junior Tafuna is not making the 53. I have full belief Junior Tafuna is going to be a practice squad player.
Dude, he was rocking barefoot yesterday to the field. He's good with me. Jake Hansen.
I feel like Jake Hansen and Nick Neiman are both going to make this team. I just couldn't say for sure that they're locks. Hansen plays a ton of special
Both of
teams.
them?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe they're going to keep 6 linebackers.
Okay.
But for Hansen,
And their base defense is 2. So, I mean, so we're keeping 6. Obviously, that's a lot.
They're really only going to play 4, which is Harris and Speed and Hatoto and Aziz. But Henry Toto was hurt last year. Aziz Al-Shire was hurt last year. Aziz is a target by the NFL if he decks Trevor Lawrence week 3. There's a suspension. Harris has an injury history. Like, I would keep 6 if I was the Texans, especially if they're guys that I trust. And I know Frank Ross can use them on game day on special teams.
So you have Hansen and Neiman. Okay. I noticed you didn't make your 100% locks though. So
correct, because I can't tell you which white linebacker that has a number in the 30s is making it for sure over the other one.
Race car.
This weekend I plan to do a 53-man exercise, and my estimation is I'm going to put both of them on the roster.
On the chat, Jacob says, what is going on with pre-training camp star Ladarius Henderson? I don't know. Like, he was never going to make the team. Like, he had 2 broken feet. The only they like that he worked out enough to make the practice squad. I don't know why Kay Adams asked that question. It's weird. I guess DJ Bieneme said the other day people were fighting about Ladarius Henderson. I think he needs to DJ needs to stiff arm some of the stuff that he sees. And Jonathan said it, but yeah, Ladarius Henderson was always a guy who had 2 broken feet. They like his character a lot, but he was always like a long shot, even on this poor offensive line. And that's if he hangs around on the practice squad, which I think they would like for him to, then that would be more than successful for Ladarius Henderson, given everything that he went through and all the rehab he endured.
He was a late round pick that was hurt his first year in the NFL, that was going to play a new position that he didn't play in college. The chances of him being a factor were so minuscule.
Yeah, it was never going to happen. Wag says, if Harris is healthy, does he start over Toho?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like a nice platoon.
Platoon. I mean, there are situations where they might want Henry and Harris on the field together. There are situations when Aziz and Harris make more sense. There are situations when Aziz and Toto make more sense. Like, if the depth is clear, like we believe it can be, DeMeco Ryans can do some mixing and matching and get deeper into his bag as a defensive coordinator.
Path for Arthur Mollett.
Well, here's what I would say first for Arthur Mollett. They've got to think about Miles Bryant as a safety and not a corner.
Well, they already do. He's playing safety.
Well, but he spent more days at cornerback than he has at safety.
Correct. But lately,
or nickel, however you want to phrase it. It's like Miles Bryant. If they consider Miles Bryant an option at nickel or backup cornerback, then Mollett has a tougher time. But they need a Petrie backup. And Mollett could absolutely be that guy.
He's the only one in the Petrie line right now. But Miles Bryant has, I don't want to say he's mastered it, but maybe he's already shown him enough to where they trust him to do that. I think that would be the right way to say it. I don't think he's like mastered the art of it. I think there's a chance Mollett could show that he can do it better. But I think the times that Petrie was out and Miles Bryant was in that role, I think he passed the test like a moat.
I would rather play Mollett behind Petrie than Bryant, but Bryant's usefulness of being able to do a few different things is an intriguing part of his candidacy for a roster spot.
How come D'Angelo Ross didn't make this list?
Because I put it together and I don't believe he should make the team. And you know why D'Angelo Ross didn't make the team? Because can he stop a quarterback from completing the pass to the wide receiver?
No chance. That's what you got.
Yeah, that's no chancer. Yeah, that's a fact. The path for Russell Yeast. It's
tough.
Jimmy Ward gets cut.
Or has to start on PUP or IR.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward's gone.
You need Ward to not be a factor. You need Reed to not be a factor.
I think we'll get a better grasp of the safety after this game and probably after a couple days of practice next week. Like, we'll see how Jalen Mills, Russ Yeast, like that cluster of safeties perform. And then I think we'll be able to like make a grasp and make like a clear path. But right now, I think it's a 0% chance that Yeast makes it.
If you knew Arthur Mollett was on the roster as the backup to Petrie, would you rather have Russ Yeast or Miles Bryant on the team?
Miles Bryant.
See, I think I'd rather have Russ Yeast.
I just think Miles Bryant is a little bit like can do a little bit more. He can play corner, like you said. He can play the inside. He can play safety. He can return punts. So I just think he does a lot more. He can be a gunner on special teams. Like he does pretty much everything that you can ask him to do. So I would say Miles Bryant for that reason. So there we go. There's the paths. There's the locks. Now we have a challenge. The Cody Stoots challenge. Now, will he accept? And I can see you already rolling your eyes, Cody.
I didn't roll my eyes.
But I have a Cody Stoots challenge. Will he accept? And it involves Texans game days and press box food.
Oh boy, here we go. You're so worried about what I eat and what I don't eat.
Will you accept the challenge or not? Because I'm partaking too. This season, every carb item you eat equals 1 ounce of apple cider vinegar. In other words, if you have 3 donuts, that's 3 ounces of apple cider vinegar. If you have one serving of mashed potatoes, that's 1 ounce of apple cider vinegar. Will Cody Stoots accept the test? I'm performing. I'm doing this myself. So I'm not asking him to do anything I won't do. But you can also pick one item to exclude from consideration. So if you just want to go ham on donuts, you can exclude donuts.
I'm not doing this. This is silly.
I'm excluding popcorn. I'm
gonna display portion control, and I'm not worried about this is a carb or this is that. I'm just gonna be. I know what's healthy. I know what's not healthy, and I'm gonna appropriately portion out what I eat.
Just not a man of the people, man. We're just trying to get the ACV challenge going.
How are they not sponsoring us? By the way, we need to reach out to tip top of the market ACV company. See if they send us some free ACV. Who's that? Who's that brand that everybody gets? There's like that famous brand, Bragg organic apple cider.
Bragg. Yeah, but the other one was better.
Oh, you liked the what brand was that?
There was like a detox one. There's like I think Great Value makes ACV.
Well, I don't think that the Walmart folks are going to toss us free ACV.
I'm on that ACV thing now. I'm like, it's just a good punishment. But Cody won't play around. Sorry about him, people. Sorry about him. What do we want to see tomorrow in the game the most?
I want to see Ursary play a half of football.
A whole half?
Mm-hmm. I don't care if he's protected Stroud. I don't care if he's protected Mills. I want to see him play a half of football. I want to see how he looks when he gets challenged a little bit more from a pass rush standpoint. I want to see how he looks when some of the wear and tear of the NFL game kind of leans on him a little bit. You know, is he still able to fire guys off the line of scrimmage late in the second quarter? I want to see him play a half of football.
A half. Okay. That's a hell of a lot. I really want to see how the offensive line looks, specifically guys looking for jobs. And I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about Blake Fisher. I'm talking about Thomas. I'm talking about Scruggs. I'm even talking about Andrews and Patterson kind of still competing for a gig. I want to see what those guys look like on the offensive line. I also want to see what the battle between John Mechie and Watson, which we previously mentioned, what the hell that looks like.
Big good one too. Yeah.
That's a 100%.
And you know, if we're really dialing in here on, you know, the next week plus for this player, then hey, Luke Lachey, show me something. Show me something. You got a chance to make this roster.
He's getting first team reps immediately. Like he's in the right situation if he wants to make it. He's still a little bit raw, but I mean, got a chance. Nick Chubb, be interesting. I just don't. I'm not gonna say anything with Nick Chubb because I don't know. 1, 2, 3. Chubb stuff. That's the number one. That's the number one practice run. Okay. So Kane says, and this is interesting. So I'm confusing him. So he says in his world, tech sales, ACV stands for annual contract value.
You should really start. You should get a tech deal with the apple cider vinegar people, and then it'd be ACV's ACV.
All right. On that note, appreciate everyone for coming through. When we get those tickets from Texans Cap, in the meantime, at Texans Cap on X, tell him he's a slime ball loser.
No, don't say that.
We're not having them in my inbox by now.
It's not he didn't have the tickets. Somebody reached out to him.
He's the middleman. So he's the guy that's getting it. Just let Texans Cap know he's a slime ball at Texans Cap on X. Let him know he's a scumbag.
No, tell him that his head looks shiny. Tell him something nice.
And always remember, tell him that Coke Zero sucks. Always remember.
Hey, you watch your fucking mouth.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Another Coke Zero guy. Always remember, whether you're a Coke Zero guy, a water guy, or an ACV guy, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.